Zakat. Learn objectives. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, my friends, to a new lesson about Zakat. Do you know what the meaning of Zakat is? What are its conditions and amount? What are the related rulings? Let's begin. Before starting our lesson, let's recall the pillars of Islam. The pillars of Islam are the visible actions of speech and doings, performing the foundations of worship through which a Muslim gets closer to Allah. A Muslim's faith does not become complete until they fulfill these pillars in their entirety, respecting the conditions associated with them. Zakat is one of the pillars of Islam, and a Muslim's faith is not complete until they acknowledge and apply it fully. Now, let's clarify the meaning of zakat. It is a sum of money imposed by Allah on the rich and given to those in need, such as the poor and needy. With regard to the ruling on zakat, Allah Almighty has mandated the payment of zakat for every Muslim whose wealth reaches the nisaba, or the minimum amount set by Islamic law. Those who fulfill this obligation receive rewards and blessings, while those who don't are considered sinful. Allah Almighty said in the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, establish prayer, pay zakat, and bow down with those who bow down. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, anyone who possesses gold or silver and does not give its due right will have sheets of fire prepared for him on the day of judgment. He will be heated over them in the fire of hell, shearing his sides, his forehead, and his back. Every time they cool down, they will be reheated for him. But why has Allah considered someone who doesn't pay zakat a sinner? That is right. A person who doesn't pay zakat is considered sinful because zakat is one of the pillars of Islam. Now we have reached the conditions of zakat. Not everyone who possesses wealth is obligated to give zakat. So what are the conditions that must be met with wealth? Zakat is obligatory on wealth if it meets two conditions. The first is that the wealth must reach the minimum amount set by Islam. This minimum is called an-nisaba. An-nisaba is the predetermined amount of wealth set by Islamic law. Upon reaching this amount, the obligation to pay zakat becomes due. The second condition of zakat is that the Hijri year needs to pass on the wealth for the completion of the nisaba. Now we will talk about the zakat recipients, who we give zakat to. Allah Almighty mentioned the recipients of zakat in the Holy Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Zakat is only for the poor and the needy, for those employed to administer it, for those whose hearts are attracted to the faith, for freeing slaves, for those in debt, for Allah's cause, and for needy travelers. This is an obligation from Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. The first zakat recipient is the poor. They are the people who don't have enough money to live sufficiently. Those who give zakat must give it to the poor to ease their hardship and need. The second recipient of zakat is the needy. They are the needy who find sufficiency for themselves and their family for small periods, but not always. They are given zakat to ease their loss and need. The third recipient of zakat mentioned in the verse is those who work to collect and distribute zakat. These people are the ones that the imam or his assistant task with collecting zakat funds. They are the collectors of these funds, and they guard them and keep track of them. The fourth recipient of zakat is those whose hearts need to be reconciled. These are the people whose faith in Islam is weak. The objective of this zakat is to unify the community by strengthening their hearts towards Islam, or to prevent their haram from reaching Muslims. Those obligated to pay zakat should allocate a portion of their wealth for them. The fifth zakat recipient is slaves. Many centuries ago, when slavery was still present in communities, Islam made it mandatory to give zakat to slaves, usually so they can free them. This recipient group also included any Muslims who were taken captive by non-believers. The sixth recipient of zakat is those in debt. These are the people who have incurred debts. and are unable to repay them, meaning they can't settle their debts. The seventh recipient of zakat, mentioned in the verse we read, is those for the cause of Allah. Those are the people who went out to fight for Allah's cause. As for those who went out for their homeland, tribe, or other worldly matters, they are not recipients of zakat. The recipients under the category, those for Allah's cause, includes those who devoted themselves to seek Islamic knowledge. This is to encourage Muslims to pursue Islamic knowledge that benefit them in this world and the hereafter. We have reached the eighth recipient of zakat, and that is the traveler. This refers to a traveler who was cut off from their country and has run out of expenses. Zakat is given to help them solve their problem or return to their country, even if they are rich in their country. Now we will talk about the benefits of paying zakat. Allah Almighty has commanded zakat for its numerous benefits that bring good to individuals and society. Let's discuss these benefits. The first benefit of zakat is that it purifies the souls of the wealthy from the stinginess so that they don't focus only on growing their wealth. Rather, they give to the poor out of genuine kindness. The second benefit of zakat is that it purifies the souls of the poor from envy and jealousy, so that the poor don't envy the rich for what Allah blessed them with. The third benefit of zakat is that it grows the wealth of the person who pays it. Allah mentions this benefit in the Holy Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Establish prayer and pay zakat. Whatever good you send forth for yourself, you will certainly find its reward with Allah. Surely Allah is all-seeing of what you do. The fourth benefit of zakat is that it meets the needs of the poor and needy and provides them with what's necessary to support them in their livelihood. The fifth benefit of zakat is that it protects society from fitna and crimes that may happen due to poverty and need. The sixth benefit of zakat is that whoever pays it earns abundant rewards and blessings from Allah Almighty. Now that we have learned more about zakat and its benefits, how do you think zakat contributes to solving the problem of poverty in society? When the wealthy fulfills their obligation of giving zakat to the poor, it creates a financial balance within society. The poor are no longer impoverished, and poverty and need diminish in the community. Now we will talk about the funds for which zakat is due. Zakat is due on many funds. The first possession that zakat is due for is cattle. This includes camels, cows, and sheep. The second is trading of any commodity. The third possession zakat is obligatory upon is money, gold and silver. Fourthly, zakat is obligatory on crops and fruits. These possessions for which zakat is due have conditions specified by Islamic law, and if the conditions are met, they must pay them to the fullest. And now, my friends, we have come to the end of our lesson on zakat. Today, we learned that zakat is a mandatory amount of money that Allah has imposed on the wealthy to be given to those who are deserving, such as the poor and needy. Allah has obligated zakat upon every Muslim who possesses wealth equal to or above the minimum amount. Those who fulfill this obligation will receive rewards and blessings, while those who neglect it will be committing a sin. We also learn that zakat is obligatory on wealth if it meets two conditions. The wealth reaches the minimum amount known as nisab. 1 Hijri year passed since the wealth reached the nisab. There are 8 categories of recipients for zakat, including the poor, the needy, those who work to collect and distribute zakat, those whose hearts need to be reconciled, slaves, debtors, those in the path of Allah, and travelers. And we also learn, my friends, that there are numerous benefits to giving zakat, including purifying wealthy person's soul from stinginess, purifying the poor person's soul from envy, growing the wealth of the person who gives zakat, protecting society from turmoil and crimes that may occur due to poverty and need. And we learn that the types of wealth on which zakat is obligatory are livestock, including camels, cows, and sheep, trade deals, money, gold and silver, and crops and fruits.